Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back to another installment of the 2006 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series here on ESPN. It's from the Brickyard, race number 21 of 36, the Brickyard 400, one of the most widely anticipated races of this season as we continue to wind down on the calendar here in the summer months. Starting on pole for today is no surprise to anybody. It'll be the 24 of Jeff Gordon from first here at the Brickyard with his teammate Jimmie Johnson to his outside on the front row. Starting in third will be Ryan Newman in the 12 car, and fourth belongs to Casey Kane in the 38. Carl Edwards will be starting in fifth, and Scott Wimmer in the sixth position for tonight's race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be in seventh, and DJ Kennington in eighth. Robbie Gordon will be in the 9th position, and 10th is Bobby Labonte, 11th will be Sterling Marlin, and 12th Kevin Harvick. 13th will be Elliott Sadler, and 14th place is Brian Vickers. 15th goes to Tony Stewart, side by side with his teammate Jamie McMurray in 16th. 17th will be Greg Biffle, and 18th Jason Leffler. Clint Boyer will be in the 19th position, and 20th will be Kurt Busch. 21st will be Johnny Sauter, and 22nd belongs to Mark Martin. 23rd will be Matt Kenseth, and Regan Smith in 24th. Christian Elder, P25, 26th will be Casey Atwood, Martin Truex Jr. in 27th, and Ricky Hendrick in 28th place. Scott Riggs will be 29th, and 30th, that'll be John Wood. 31st will be Casey Mears in the 55 car, making his Cup debut here tonight, and John Andretti will be in 32nd. 33rd, Terry Labonte in the 14. 34th belongs to Todd Bodine. 35th will be Kyle Busch, and Jeff Green in the 36th spot. 37th will be Ricky Rudd. 38th, TJ Bell in the 49. Jeremy Mayfield will be 39th, and 40th, Ricky Craven in the 71. And rounding out the field in the final row, Eric Norris in the 51 car, and Morgan Shepherd in the 89. 48 laps will be your race length here tonight as we take you to the track for the most famous words in motorsports, the command here from Indianapolis.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field roars to life as we get set to roll here. As we mentioned, one of the biggest races of the season here tonight as the field rolls off on this starting grid. Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson, the two dominant cars of last week's race at Loudon, they start first and second here tonight as the 24 and 48 will lead the field to the green. Hendrick continuing this mid-season strength that they've shown over the course of the summer months, and without any surprises, sweeping the front row here today.
Yeah, and I believe that if you ask these drivers, other than the Daytona 500, what race they would want to win, at least 90% of them would say this race. This track is completely unlike anything else we have on the schedule. It is completely unique. As much as the draft matters, it matters to take care of your car and strike at the right time. It's really just races completely unlike anything else that we have, and it lends itself to some great racing, but also some scary crashes from time to time. So hopefully we have a good, clean race today. A lot of hungry drivers in this field, a lot of storylines, and we'll see who makes it back to the checkered flag first. But I'm really excited for this one.
Without a question, Indianapolis is a track of speed, cornering prowess, and of course, a speedrome for some of the best drivers in this sport. We always talk about tracks that are driver-friendly. There's no track that's driver-friendly like Indianapolis. You talk about getting into the corners here, so much speed differential, and it is such a fun race to watch always when we come to this racetrack.
Absolutely, and the drivers just absolutely love it to death, but the fans love it to death as well. It lends itself to some of the most fantastic racing you will see in this series, just guys laying it out on the line. And we're going to see a lot of that today, but you got to be careful, because if you go around one wrong move, there's not a lot of places you want to wreck here.
Absolutely. Pace car peels into pit lane. Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson to lead the field to the green. We are underway here from the Brickyard. Out of turn number 4, Jeff Gordon jumps away from the pole. 24 leads off of turn 4 as Jimmy Johnson fights with Ryan Newman for second place. Got Casey Kane up the back bumper. Scott Wimmer moving into the 5th position as we get this race underway. Fighting with Kane for a position as well. Double file between these guys behind the race leader. Johnson into 2nd. What a move by Wimmer as he moves into 3rd.
When you see it there, you really want to be able to get down to the bottom. You saw Newman start that corner in 2nd place, is now back down to 4th, now dropping to 5th. So you really have to hit the bottom here, but it's deceptively difficult to get your car turning the way you want it to, especially early in the run when you're trying to find your braking points. But those Hendrick guys have it figured out right now. They're pulling away.
Great start for the Hendrick duo as the 48 managed to find a way to the bottom from the outside pole. Got right away from the field. Now chasing the 24. Casey Kane and wrecking in the back. Hard crash off of turn 4 as Kevin Harvick went around. Ricky Hendrick into the pit lane. Missed the pit wall. And that is a big crash off of turn 4.
Oh, and there is a car in the pit wall.
Hard crash. Still wrecking on the front stretch.
There was a car stuck to the pit wall.
That would be Jeff Green in the 96. Didn't hit it at a whole lot of speed, but a tough hit for him. Into the attenuator, we saw Ricky Hendrick narrowly miss the pit wall at very high speed.
Yeah, that was really, really scary.
So caution flag comes out as the race leaders have taken the yellow flag. Very quick early caution and a big wreck off of turn 4. Saw Kevin Harvick get spun around there. And
Ricky Hendrick
also very nearly hit that pit wall.
As Hendrick brings his beaten and battered Chevrolet to the pit lane, but lucky it's not a whole lot worse. We unfortunately saw it yesterday with Chad Little. Our thoughts and prayers are with him. A serious injury that could cost him his career, unfortunately. But
it does appear that we had 2 separate incidents here. 4 of Clint Boyer and 20 of Kevin Harvick both got spun around in the same way at the same time.
Man, that was a major hit with the 0.
96 of Jeff Green took a big hit to the attenuator, did climb out of his race car. That was a big hit for him as well, and we saw that with Ricky Hendrick just about missing that pit wall. That was very, very close to disaster for the 5.
And what was that? 6 inches, if that?
I believe he might have brushed it. And he definitely did.
Oh, man.
And you saw it was Harvick who was spun around and got back facing in the right direction, and the car gripped up right into that 5 and just catapulted him. He didn't hit it, actually. I thought he did, but got both the inner inside wall of the pit lane as well as the outside edge of the pit wall. So a tough break for the 5.
That's just one of those crashes as a driver that you close your eyes and you just hope that you make it out to the other side, because that pit wall is absolutely treacherous. We don't have anything like it, and as dangerous as it is, they just haven't really been able to find a fix. It's just a difficult situation with this racetrack and the way it's set up. There's not a whole lot they can do to fix it, but it's always scary when you see a car get down there.
So a lot of cars out of this race early, just 3 laps into this race. Casey Kane stayed out under that caution flag. The 38 takes the race lead. It's lap number 4 at the moment. We'll be right back here from Indianapolis after a hard, vicious crash early in the running. Back from intermission here as we get set to roll. Casey Kane in the 38 to stay out and take the race lead. Top 5 goes 38, 12, 23, 97, and 83. About 30 or so cars left in the race. We'll see how many that is after minimum speed. It'll be lap number 7 on the restart for your race leaders.
And that's what we were talking about at the top of the show. You know, this is a very driver-friendly racetrack, but one that can lend itself to some very big crashes because of the corner angles and how you have to get in there. It's just easy to run into somebody's quarter panel, but luckily everybody is okay. There were some close calls, but everybody got out of their race cars. Ricky Hendrick especially we're thankful for. Jeff Green was able to climb out, a bit shaken, but is okay. He was talking to our crew over the caution.
Absolutely great to hear as we get set to resume this race. Early caution, shake-up of the field. Casey Kane back underway. A great start for the 38 as we are back under green. Edwards jumping underneath the 23 early, seeing a couple moves being made. Kurt Busch trying to get past the 83. Takes Sterling Marlin with him as the 22 follows along. Couple of Bill Davis Racing teammates pretty close, 23 and 22. Down the backstretch, top 3 break away as Edwards and Newman follow this 38 towards turn 3, and Newman trying to take the race lead.
Newman ducks underneath. Kane gives in the room, but is going to get a strong run on the outside, going to keep that spot. You know, you can make the outside work here as a defense line, but I wouldn't be running it all the time because, as you can see, Newman jumps out. The draft is just so powerful here, and it's going to be fastest ringing around the bottom.
Without a question, here comes Edwards to try and take second from the 12. Side by side for P2 now. Just a matter of trying to hang with him. It's usually turns 2 and 4 that are a little bit better for the overtaking. You just got to hang with them when you make them move towards 1 and 3. We see a lot of that. We've seen a lot of that in the past. And it's just a matter of trying to get it sorted. Top 4 now under a blanket as Kurt Busch has a run on Edwards. Got into him for that 3rd position. Edwards held on to that race car as well as the spot.
It is not easy to hang on to it at 200 mile an hour. We're seeing 210 mile an hour corner speeds into 3. And imagine having to hold on to that race car with somebody laying onto your quarter panel. That is a great save from Carl Edwards.
Trying to get underneath Newman, couldn't. Kurt Busch going around the outside of the 97 to try and make up a position. Still these two battling for P3. Edwards trying to hang on the bottom, but Busch with a nice run on corner exit, and with the draft trying to clear the 97 down the backstretch. Edwards might have a chance to hold on into corner entry here, but he will think better of it. Early in the running, ducks right behind the 01, Kurt Busch to 3rd.
Edwards concedes, but is going to look down low more.
Great entry to turn 4 there, but again, that outside just works so much as they're wrecking again off of turn 4. DJ Kennington
hit hard.
Oh, and Robbie Gordon into the pit wall, as is the 30. Huge crash on the front stretch. Upside down is Eric Norris and Morgan Shepherd. Oh, my goodness.
Parking lot on the front stretch. The track completely blocked. Norris on his side. Morgan Shepherd upside down. Is this car going to land on its wheels? Kennington looked like he got up and over as well. Jimmy Johnson destroyed.
And there's about only 10 cars left in this race now after that crash.
And it looked like Robbie Gordon had clipped the pit wall.
He hit it very hard, yes. Didn't hit it directly head on, I don't believe, but he did get down in there. Just desperately tried to get it down to pit lane to avoid this crash, and we have another caution. In fact, I believe he was sideways. That was the reason he got, yes he did, he got tagged. We saw this crash here as Mark Martin and Greg Biffle got together. So another crash out of turn 4. It was Martin getting into the 16, just a misjudgment on both parties.
And really just kept going.
Ouch.
Oh!
Hard impacts. Casey Atwood was down the pits as well, trying to get around that accident, and actually helped him out because that was a complete roadblock on the front stretch. Yeah, Kennington, 3 separate flips in this crash. We saw Kennington go up and over, nowhere for anyone to go.
As Norris gets ran underneath and just pushed over, and Morgan Shepherd with about the slowest flip I have ever seen. but
Just an absolute mess here.
happy to report those two are out of their cars and okay, as is DJ Kennington.
Robbie Gordon, lucky that he hit the passenger side there, was just all over the place, couldn't hold on to it, and got a big piece of that pit wall, but he's all right. So we're under caution again, and there now, like I just said, there is absolutely nobody left in this race anymore.
And interestingly, the top two in the championship both taken out in that as well.
And just a big, big shakeup. So we will have pit stops again under yellow flag, lap number 10, as the field seeks out the pit lane. Lap car Casey Mears will stay out, and he is the only lap car at the moment, so the 55 will get a lucky dog here. But Casey Kane going to lead everybody down. Again, there's probably about 10-15 cars undamaged left in this race, and it is only lap 10.
Yeah, we got a whole race left to do, and not a whole lot of cars left to do it.
Kane and Newman, two race leaders, into their pit boxes here on lap number 11 for the race leaders. Jeff Gordon also joining them. And Jimmy Johnson, this will probably be the end of his race with a ton of damage on that 48 car. Kane away, just 2 tires, and yes, Johnson does retire from the race. It's 2 tires for the 38, 4 tires for Newman, 4 tires for Gordon.
I'll tell you, this is a good opportunity for a guy like Scott Wimmer or Elliott Sadler, who have flown a bit under the radar to get their first career win. This is a really good opportunity for those guys.
Absolutely. And tell you what, Casey Atwood, who was technically involved in that crash, got a piece of the pit wall after diving it down the pit lane to avoid that crash. He's in the race lead right now. So 30 car stays out. We'll see if he pits late to get some repairs on that 30, but he is in the lead for the moment, and we'll take it to intermission here from Indianapolis. Back from intermission here at Indianapolis, just 20 cars remaining in this race. Casey Atwood in the 30 didn't pit again, and he did pit when he got flung down the pit lane in that crash, so he, with the repairs, will be the race leader. Casey Kane in the 38 restarts in second, Kurt Busch third, Tony Stewart in fourth place, and Carl Edwards in fifth to round out your top five as we get set to go underway here. And there's really just nobody left in this race now, and it's only going to be lap 14 on this restart.
And at this point in the race, I think it's easier to tell you who's not involved in accidents, which we haven't really seen a whole lot of this year. Most of the races have been pretty calm. So this is a really good opportunity for somebody who hasn't quite had the winning speed this season to step up and have a chance at one.
Absolutely going to make sure that Casey Atwood doesn't get black flagged for being flung down the pit lane inadvertently, but the green flag is underway. And Casey Atwood with a great jump from the lead, getting away from the 38 as we head towards turn one.
Now we'll see what the Casey and Casey show has in store for us.
Kane looking early, trying to get underneath the 30, couldn't, as Atwood shuts the door on him in turn two.
As we have a big old train down here on the back straightaway. 4 cars starting to pull away a little bit.
Ooh, Kane trying to block Kurt Busch, managed it. Here comes the 38 for first.
Really good move by Casey Kane. That was one that you had to get absolutely right, or else you're turning yourself at a really, really high rate of speed.
And
Kurt Busch
runs away with the lead.
Kurt Busch was left out to dry there, had to side draft. Carl Edwards looking to take it 3 wide, thinks better of it.
Probably
but is going to get past Tony Stewart. They're going to bring Elliott Sadler along with him. Another good run for Elliott Sadler.
Everybody back up to speed here. Couple cars well off of the minimum pace, 16:55 and 68. So 3 cars that will fail the minimum speed here, and that will bring our car count down to just 17.
And as they dwindle away, you just start to wonder how many more there might be later in this race. We could genuinely see 10 cars finish this race.
Yeah, without a question. Battle for second continues, and Kurt Busch moves into P2. Carl Edwards trying to get around Atwood. Couldn't clear him off the corner. Brian Vickers is now a member of the top 5 as he joins this battle between Atwood and Edwards for the 3rd position here in turn 3. And the 97 will move up another spot as he gets past Atwood. Here comes Brian Vickers for 4th.
And Atwood's trying the best he can to hold on, but there is a little bit of damage on that right side, which does affect your drafting speed and how well you're able to compete arrow-wise. So he's holding on, and he's holding on well, but you can only do so much when there's damage anywhere on the car. Just even a little bit makes a difference.
And especially a track that's arrow-dependent as this one. Kurt Busch trying to run down Casey Kane for the lead. We see Matt Kenseth making a pit stop. Not know if that was scheduled or not, but he is down the pit lane. And get a look at your championship leaders in the finishing order. So the 48 will finish this race retired in 21st. Robbie Gordon couldn't bring it back to the pits, so it's 31st for the 31. So points margin between those two will widen a little further. Here's Kurt Busch for the race lead.
Kurt makes easy work for the race lead for the moment, but at a track like this, I would argue you don't really want to be leading, at least not until very late, because you don't get that draft. So you're really just holding on, waiting for the guy ahead of you to make that move. So leading this race is a bit of a precarious situation to be in, unless it's very late in the going, but I think Kurt Busch has the car for it.
Definitely seems like it, trying to keep Kane behind. Edwards catching up from 3rd place, trying to close on these 2 race leaders. Atwood still in 4th. Vickers still in 5th. Jeff Gordon, one of the drivers that was on 4 tires, he's closing in as well. That is your pole sitter. Also has Bobby Labonte not too far behind, who pretty much all these guys ran their fastest lap of the race. The 24 and 18 did at least. And not much of a surprise given the draft, as Gordon almost got underneath his teammate. Vickers trying to shut the door on him. Top 7 have broken away from the rest of the field at the moment.
It would be worth mentioning, if Bobby Labonte was able to win this race, he would be the second driver in the history of the sport to win the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year. It's only been done by Dale Jarrett. So what a feat that would be if Bobby Labonte could go to victory lane today.
Without a question, it is worth noting as we approach the halfway mark in this race, just a couple laps from now. Kurt Busch still leading here, as it is lap number 20 that we sit on right now. With this top 7 having broken away from everybody else. Jeff Gordon still trying to get around that 44. Casey Atwood has been on the back bumper of Edwards for a while. Now ducks underneath him for third, while Casey Kane looks for the race lead.
Talking about the damage to Atwood, but it doesn't seem to be affecting him too much. He's definitely competing with these guys, so seems to be all good for Casey Atwood, and he's starting to gain some confidence.
Moves right on past Edwards for third, found his groove, and Casey Kane is back into the race lead. These two have traded the top spot a couple times, so now it's number 38 in front again. Jeff Gordon and Bobby Labonte catching up to the back stragglers of this top 5, still looking to make up time towards the race leaders.
But as they do that, the front 2 just continue to pull away. So they really can't waste much time, or else they're not going to be in their draft. It's going to be really hard to catch them then.
Vickers for 4th, Kurt Busch for the lead. Trying to go for another trade here, but Kane stays strong on the outside. And he keeps Kurt Busch behind for the time being. Brian Vickers does move past Edwards. And now here comes Jeff Gordon and Bobby Labonte off of turn 4.
As these 5 are in a pack now, they need to work together, because the front 2 just continue to pull away despite the fact that they're battling. So I think those 2 seem to be the fastest cars on the racetrack, although Atwood is starting to close up a little bit.
Kurt Busch once again moves past Casey Kane for first, got by him in turn 1. 38 has another chance down the backstretch. Atwood, Vickers closing on the top 2. Could be a 7-horse race for this lead in a minute, as Kane again underneath in turn 3. Feeling more like the Indianapolis 500 with how much we're seeing draft trades for first. And Kane not quite clear off of the corner there.
Now it's going to be left out to dry as everybody goes to the top lane. Gordon down to the bottom. We'll see if Atwood wants to block that. Side by side for the lead heading into 1. Atwood is able to get down. And Atwood's going to come up to 2nd here.
Kane through for the lead. Atwood to P2. Jeff Gordon trying to take 3rd. Everybody in the mix now as this whole top 7 is joined up in this pack. Newman in the background trying to catch. He's got the 22 behind as well. Could see more later if they've got enough of the draft of the front drivers. Jeff Gordon still side by side with Kurt Busch. That's for 3rd. But the 01 will hold him off. Maybe not. No, Gordon with a run out of turn 3. And now gets past him for P3, although Kurt Busch trying to hang tight around the outside. Still there is the 01.
I'll tell you what, I think that 24 is bad fast. He might be the fastest car in the field right now. He has, as hard as it has been to get a move done and keep that move done, he's been able to do it pretty much better than anybody. So that 24, not a surprise considering he was on the pole, but that car looks really, really good right now.
Without a question, and it isn't any wonder that it's Jeff Gordon that has a car like that, given how many times he's won at this track as recently as 2004. Kurt Busch still trying to challenge him, though. That 01's also got a good piece under him, so they're side by side for 3rd. Might have even brushed doors out of turn 3.
And we talk about, for Jeff Gordon, how good he is at this racetrack, because we're starting to see pitters here. Kane and Edwards in.
Just at the halfway mark as we hit halfway. Casey Atwood will inherit the lead.
As I was saying, for Jeff Gordon, we talk about how good he is at this racetrack, but I feel like he's always a little bit extra motivated when he comes here. This is his home racetrack. This place means so much to him. And seeing him run well, it's always a treat. And it's always a treat to the fans who show up as well. They are diehard 24 fans here in Indiana.
Without a question, as here comes Kurt Busch to try and take the provisional race lead for the moment, side by side between the 30 and 01. So Kurt Busch is going to duck into the pit lane. Atwood will as well. Good move by the 30 to get in front of the 01, and Jeff Gordon got held up a lot. Here comes Ryan Newman with a head of steam down the front stretch.
That was big for Ryan Newman because he was way back of these guys and is now pulled up to the 24. So either the 24 has lost a lot of time, or Newman just gripped it and ripped it out there. So we might have another car in this pack once this cycles through.
It will remain to be seen, as we can expect the last couple drivers in this time. Mark Martin, another one that stayed out. Casey Kane rejoins the racetrack a long way ahead of the 97. John Wood also yet to pit in the 6. And Gordon and Newman, the two current race leaders, into pit lane here, lap number 26. And we'll see who cycles out into first. Kane had a very good pit stop, it seems.
Yeah, they cycled out way ahead of these guys. These guys are going to be almost 30 seconds back, if not more.
So Kane unlapping himself from the 24 and 12, now racing the drivers on pit exit. Kurt Busch and Brian Vickers leaving the pit lane. Seeming like a good pit stop for them too, as Kane might be just a little bit of a ways behind the 01 as a matter of fact, and Atwood even further in front.
And Casey Atwood, we've talked about how solid he's been this season somewhat quietly and saying nobody's really talking about it, but he's knocking on the door for his first win. Could that happen today? He has the car to do it. He's shown the poise today. He's made some really good moves up here to the front and saw his life flash before his eyes as he absolutely screamed down pit road. What a move that would look like if he's able to go to victory lane, as he is well ahead of Jeff Gordon.
Gordon leaving the pit lane right around the back end of the top 5. Newman not too far behind the 97. And everybody filters back in now. Casey Atwood has a comfortable lead. Draft's still going to play a factor as Kurt Busch tries to close up on this 30 car, who has now taken away the lead and looks to cruise for the distant future.
But it is worth mentioning there are 21 laps to go here at the line. A lot of time for these guys to close back up on him. So we could definitely see this pack form back up within 10 laps to go. Kurt Busch looking like he wants to go now, as he's gained quite a bit of time. So going to be interesting to see what happens here by the end of it. Casey Atwood, what a story it would be if he could go to victory lane for the first time. Someone who thought his career was over at one point.
Absolutely. So he will take 20 laps to go at the line, but Kurt Busch is bearing down on him with a full head of steam in the 01. Casey Kane and Brian Vickers are grouped up and drafting off of one another in 3rd and 4th. 5th place belongs to Carl Edwards. Jeff Gordon back down to 6th. Newman has joined this group. He sits in 7th ahead of Bobby Labonte, who didn't really have too great of a pit stop in the 18. Any one of those guys potentially within a shot of winning this race. But there is a long way to go yet. Still 20 laps remaining in this one. 20 long laps here at Indianapolis, and Kurt Busch is now going to make it a race for this top spot here. As we head down the backstretch, 01 is closing right up to the 30. Thinking about making a move already. Couldn't quite get there, though.
Battle is on, and the more that they battle, the more that they're going to bring Casey Kane and Brian Vickers into this. So they need to be mindful of that. If they want to settle this amongst themselves, they're going to have to sit and wait for a little bit, or else it's not just going to be between them. It's going to be a battle between 5 or 6 of them.
With without a question, although I'd say it's unavoidable at this point given the effect of the draft and how Kane is bringing Vickers along. But nonetheless, Kurt Busch looking to speed that process up. He gets underneath Atwood for the lead as they go dead even down the backstretch.
Wood with the run off the top, we've seen it today, but Kurt Busch got a good run himself. Looks like he's going to clear down here into turn 3. New leader, 0-1.
Kurt Busch back into first place. We've seen pretty much all of these guys who have been up front all day trade for the lead. Atwood's led laps, Busch has led laps, as has Kane. Don't believe Vickers has yet, but he's been within the mix. And these four are looking like they're going to be the ones who are going to duel it out for the win. Not sure if we're going to have another pit stop. That all remains to be seen.
It'll be tight on fuel. We'll see. It's worth mentioning, Kane and Edwards were the first in on the fast stop, and they've split it halfway.
Just going to go back and check, as a matter of fact. I do believe it was maybe around a 15-ish lap run, even shorter than that. Went green on lap number 13, and the first pitters were on about 25, so it's about a 12-lap run, so we definitely are expecting one more pit stop, and it's not going to be close on fuel mileage, it seems, so it's just going to be get the tires on it and go. 18, now 17 laps to go. Top four slowly closing in on each other again.
And you gotta make sure when you get those tires not to overheat them, because you don't want to get too much heat into them too early and then wear them and then not have them late in the run. And it's easier said than done at this place because it's already hard enough on tires with the diamond graded surface for the Indy cars. With also the hot temperatures that you get at this time of the year, they can be upwards of 90 degrees. So it's really, really hard on these drivers.
Kenseth, one of the drivers off cycle, just got back into the pit lane. Casey Kane, as you just saw on your screen, moves into second place. So it's once again between the two that have dominated this middle portion of the race to duke it out for the lead. Kane and Busch definitely seeming like they have the cars to beat tonight.
They do, but that 30 and the 44 are no slouches either. They could very easily win this race. And somebody else further back with a good pit stop could be right in this mix as well. Jeff Gordon's been fast. Bobby Labonte's been fast. Carl Edwards has been fast. So this thing is all but over.
And we see a four-car pack behind the leaders as Gordon, Labonte, Edwards, and Newman have all joined up in force to try and catch up to the top group. But they are a long way behind the top four. Brian Vickers moving past Atwood for third, at least for the moment. 30 might have a second say about that as they head towards turn one this time. But Busch out in front of Kane for the moment and has been holding that gap at least for now. Trying to hang on to this lead.
Casey Kane now takes a look. Not sure he quite got there, but he did take a look for the lead. He's looking again. There he goes, down to the bottom.
Down to the bottom into turn three. Once again, we've seen these two trade the lead so many times today. Kane with the nose ahead, heading towards turn 3 and 4, and he will have the lead out of turn 4 this time. Kane back to first. Busch gonna have to regroup and keep the 44 and 30 behind him as they head down the front stretch. Will do that. As this race continues.
Took a bit of a look out of 4. Couldn't quite get underneath him, as Vickers is going to set his sights on the 01 of Kurt Busch. Vickers not quite able to get underneath him there, but it's a 4-car train at this point. So they have grouped themselves together. These are the 4 that will be racing for the win, provided no bad pit stops happen or somebody out of the back doesn't pull a crazy one. But these 4 seem to be the fastest 4 at the moment as well.
Absolutely. They have all been so quick, and they have all been in the mix for this lead all day long. Leaving turn 4 is Kane, trying to keep the 01 at bay as they head towards turn 1 this time. It's just 13 laps remaining, approaching that final pit window. Expect it with maybe 10 to 8 to go or so. It should be a clean run to the finish for all of the race leaders after that pit stop that's coming up, but still the focus is for the battle for the lead as Kane trying to keep the 01 behind him Busch not close enough to make a move yet. Vickers has left Atwood behind a little bit, so it's just the top 3 at the moment.
But it's dropped back a little bit as the top 3 are under a blanket. Vickers makes a big move down there in turn 4.
Couldn't keep it underneath him. He really tried it, though, but Busch stays in second place. So that splits them up a little bit. Big gaps between all of the top 4 now as they all have to recoup a little bit. Except for Casey Kane, who's still comfortably leading. Approaching this run and the final 10 laps of this race. Final pit window is officially open. You could make it from here. But of course, these guys are going to go to the end and try to have the freshest tires they can for the end of the race. Secondary pack is still just trying their best to catch up, although I do not believe they're running any faster laps than the top 4 right now.
And for Casey Kane, running from sprint car racing, coming to this side of racing, you know, most of his colleagues that ended up moving on to things went to open wheel racing. So this is the cathedral for those guys. So you have to wonder for Casey Kane how bad he wants it. He loves this racetrack. This is his kind of wheelhouse, the kind of track that the open wheel guys usually do well at. And Casey proving it today. There's not a lot of wins bigger than this one. And for this young driver, I think it would mean the absolute world to him if he could take it to the flag.
He's got to contend with Busch, though, as here comes the 01 again, trying to make another trade with the 38. Kane not giving up on the outside. Heading towards turn 4. Vickers might take away second as well. Kane hanging tight, trying to stay with him, but the 01 has draft help on the bottom. He clears Kane for the lead. Still side by side for P2 into turn 1.
Vickers saw his opportunity to get second place and is going to do so. Brian Vickers up to P2. I believe this is the highest he's been today.
Absolutely is, as he and Atwood both looking for their first career wins. Vickers slots into P2. Atwood might have a shot at third. 10 laps to go here from Indianapolis. Kane not giving up, though. He's going to duck underneath the 44 into turn 3. Just got to hang with him towards 4, and he does. But Kane is going to pit instead. Not a bad move by the 38 to try and pit early, get the fresh tires on it, especially after starting to fall back there.
And that's been their strategy all day. They've been pitting earlier than the rest of the guys they've been racing. So we'll see where that cycles him out. So he's got to make sure whenever he gets out of the pits that he tries to fly out of there, has the best outlap he can. Because if I remember correctly, Kurt Busch came in the last cycle, the lap after, so we could very well see him come in here as well.
Gonna be waiting on these pit stops. 01, 44, 30 still on the racetrack. It'll be 8 laps to go at the line for the leaders. 4 tires and fuel for them, and Kurt Busch will be headed in. The whole top 3 are going to head in here. Newman and Gordon stay out, as they did on the last cycle, so the 12 will take the lead, but Kurt Busch into the pit lane.
Now, if you're a guy like Gordon or Newman who are staying out here another lap, is it worth going for a no-tire stop?
That is the question.
You know, you probably don't win doing that, but they're not going to win from where they're at. You might as well take a stab at it and try to get a net gain, because from where they're at, I don't think there's a prayer for them to win this race without a caution. So you got to try something.
Absolutely. We've seen 2 tire stops out of everybody who came in. Kane took a 2 tire stop, so did the rest of his colleagues in that time. Kurt Busch will leave the pit lane. Atwood and Vickers side by side out of the pits. Atwood is the one who wins that battle of chicken. Casey Kane rounding turn 1 as he chases after this 01 car.
And there's the 44. He will come out ahead of the 44.
Huge gap for Kurt Busch.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Casey has enough time to catch him without a yellow. As he comes out side by side with Atwood, that's going to slow him up. And that's really, really what Kurt Busch wants to see.
Absolutely. Atwood will hold on to P2 at least for now, though Kane has a big run out of the corner to try and challenge him for it. Side by side for what should be P2.
It's probably about a 4-second gap for Kurt Busch, and one that it's going to be hard to surmount with this amount of time. But Casey's got to run 150% here for the remainder of this race if he wants a chance at catching Kurt Busch.
It is a huge margin. It is around 3 seconds between him and Kane. It was a perfect stop by Kurt Busch. That is one of the biggest pit stop margins I've ever seen. What a stop by that Target Dodge team. They managed to pull it off perfectly, as Ganassi is going to love that.
And obviously, Chip Ganassi, no stranger to success at this racetrack. Has multiple Indy 500 victories and looking to add a Brickyard win to the list. I believe this would be their first. So, not many organizations, if any, can say that they've won at Indy in 2 separate disciplines. So, what a day it would be for Chip Ganassi Racing if they can get this done.
Without a question.
Kurt Busch continues to put on his charge towards the checkered flag as Casey Kane really not within sight at the moment. I'm just not sure there's enough time for him without something happening. Kurt Busch seems to be home free here.
5 laps to go here for Kurt Busch in the race lead. And Kurt Busch, he's a winner at this track before. He does have a Brickyard win under his belt. It was way back in 2002, 4 years ago, that he won that race back when he was still driving for Roush. Has come close a couple times at this racetrack since then, but it's been looking for that second Brickyard win. It's an elite club to win more than once at this racetrack, and Busch, this time by, will just be 4 laps away from doing exactly that. Just trying to bring it to the house. Kane is such a long way behind. He's running better laps, but he does not have nearly enough time to close that gap. 4 to go for Kurt Busch.
And it is worth mentioning, Kurt Busch is sitting 3rd in the standings. Robbie Gordon and Jimmy Johnson both crashed out of this race early. So Kurt Busch, with a win today, will close up significantly in the points.
Without a question, it's every little point that matters, and so late into the season with how perfect the 31 and 48 had been, you don't get a lot of chances like this, and he has absolutely capitalized on it. And he's just got to close it out. Lap car a little bit up of the way. It's the 21 of Andretti, but not sure Kurt Busch will even get there with just 3 laps to go at the line this time for this 01 car.
This is where, as a driver, that you just, with that kind of gap, you just got to tone it back, make sure you hit your corners right, don't make a mistake, don't hit the wall, because it's easy to do here. It's easy to overshoot and hit the wall on exit. So if you're Kurt Busch, you just got to take it easy here to the flag. I know it's hard to do because you want to see that white flag to make sure the race is over, but if you're Kurt Busch, you just got to ride it out here.
Absolutely, and a caution flag at this point would definitely end the race. It'll be 2 laps to go for the 01 this time by. It's been an absolutely perfect day for him, one where we said he had one of the cars to beat. Just 2 laps left at the line here for Busch. Nobody in front, nobody out back. Battle for second. Hasn't really been a whole lot of anything, as Casey Kane is still comfortably held onto it. 3rd belonging to Vickers, 4th Atwood. Newman managed to snag 5th. He's got Bobby Labonte to contend with. Gordon really didn't have a good pit stop that last time. He's battling with Elliott Sadler for the 8th position. That's the first side-by-side battle on the racetrack, as Gordon makes quick work of the Red Bull Pontiac.
Sadler gives way to Gordon, as looks like everybody's really just trying to get to the flag at this point. Nobody's really close enough to have a major battle except for these 4. These 4 racing for the top 10, and Sterling Marlin at the moment has it. What a great finish that would be for him if he can hold on.
Absolutely. Also, Scott Riggs in that mix for the 10th position. A great run for them, but the white flag is out. 1 lap to go. Kurt Busch just got to bring it home here.
as he rolls it through 1 and 2. Nice and easy. Fans on their feet. What a day it is for Kurt Busch, getting a second career Brickyard victory, and I believe the first for Chip Ganassi in NASCAR, winning at this racetrack, joining elite company, both of them doing something that not many people have.
Kurt Busch headed through 3 and 4 for the final time. Didn't have a whole lot of competition for it in the final run. It's been a race of trials, tribulation, and survival. But this man will survive tonight. Kurt Busch, for the second time, is a Brickyard winner, and he takes the checkered flag here in the 2006 Brickyard 400. Casey Kane comes home in second.
And what a relief it is for Kurt Busch. He knew what he needed to do today with the title guys out, and puts on a dominant showing in the latter stages of this race and claims victory, and is now going to get to burn it down on the front stretch of the most famous racetrack on this side of the earth.
Final spot in that battle for 10th place goes to Scott Wimmer as he completed the pass on his teammate and held off Tony Stewart to do it. Saw Matt Kenseth lap car up there who just left the pits and actually was in the way of Wimmer instead of the 22, but Wimmer managed to pull off the pass on his teammate. So it's top 10 for the 23 today. Vickers and Atwood with great races once again. Ryan Newman rounds out the top 5, but the story is the 01 as Kurt Busch runs away with it at the end, and he is a 2-time Brickyard 400 winner.
And just one of those days where it's easy to get out of your rhythm when so many cars are out of the race. You wonder who's next. But Kurt Busch survives the craziness and dominates the very end of this race for a convincing victory, and one that he very much needed.
And it is great to see for that 01 team taking the victory here today as Kurt Busch, your winner. Shakes up the championship immensely, but there's still a lot of points to make up in that title hunt. Kurt Busch, your winner here tonight, and that will be his 3rd win of the year. That'll conclude coverage here from Indianapolis. It was a wild one, but the 01 is going to be your winner, and we will see you next week. Week number 22, it'll be from Watkins Glen, as we head to the Sirius at the Glen, the last road course on the calendar in the Cup Series. But on behalf of Nate, with me in the booth tonight, always a pleasure to have him, and always a pleasure to have you along with us. We'll see you then, and as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.